Offices in Baton Rouge. Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Thursday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp on the ones and twos. Mr. Hill, how are you on this Thursday?
I'm doing great, and I know I talk about Dylan Cruz just about as much as I can, but geez, Aaron Judge is just so good at baseball.
Cruz is better. Cruz is much better. Maybe not. Judge, quite good. He will be awarding him with the MVP. He is big, he is good, and he's about to be rich. He's already rich, but he's going to be richer come here in a few months. Lots to get to here on a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill. I want to crank up hour number 2 with memories of the 2011 football team. They will have their reunion, 11 years since they won the Southeastern Conference, went 13-0 for the first time in school history. And so I have a lot of memories from that team because I was on the beat for the first year ever. And then Jeremy, of course, really close with that team as well. So we'll talk about that at 2 o'clock. Jenna Lane of ESPN.com covers the Buccaneers. We will have her at 2:15. Luke Johnson in his normal spot here 30 minutes from now at 1:30 talking about the Saints as they get ready for a big one in the Dome. I'll actually be in the Dome on Sunday. I'm doing the double dip this week. I'll be in Tiger Stadium for that one at 5 o'clock, and then we're going to get up, drop the kiddo off at his grandparents, and head on into the Dome, our first game since 2019 49ers.
Okay.
And my fondest memory of that 49ers Saints game, which they lost, which is going to be for the 1 seed, was that before the game, we went in, found a television, and watched the college football playoff selection show. And when that Ohio State Buckeyes flashed up as the 2 seed, and I knew who the 1 seed was going to be, I just let it rip. Oh, yeah! Fired up. Didn't matter who we played, I guess. We were going to win anyway. But that was my last time in the Dome for the Saints, so we'll be there on Sunday, and we'll be talking a lot about that game here coming up over the next 2 hours. But we'll start with LSU and Mississippi State. I kind of did my deepest research dive on State thus far last night, watched the condensed games of their first 2 and have gone kind of over the stats and whatnot. And something that we talked about yesterday was just what your misconceptions could be about this Mike Leach offense if you just know of it from afar. If you just hear air raid offense, Mike Leach, you think, oh, man, they're going to go really fast. They're going to be airing it out. They're going to score a ton of points. They're going to be moving quick. It's just that is not what it is. They pass it on almost every play, but it is very much a slow ball control, almost a frustrating offense to face. Sure, KJ Costello came in here 2 years ago and lit it up, but these 2 numbers really stood out to me when going over Mississippi State and their offensive approach. They are second in the country this year through 2 games, I know, in time of possession. They average just about 40 minutes of possession time a game. And since Mike Leach arrived in 2020, Mississippi State ranks 6th nationally in time of possession, averaging 34.2 minutes of possession per game. This to me, and I want to get into the football side of things with you here shortly, but this to me from a sports perspective is very similar to a team running the Princeton offense. It's pretty boring. It doesn't always light up the scoreboard, but on the basketball floor, it will frustrate you, and it will work if you break down and you try to cheat or you try to press or trap, and they'll just make their next pass, and they'll figure it out, and it goes slow, and it's monotonous, but it works. In baseball, it's not like the guy who's got a 98-mile-an-hour fastball with a wipeout slider. It's like the guy who throws a 91-mile-an-hour sinker at the bottom of the zone every single time. And if you just get frustrated, you'll beat it into the ground to shortstop, and then you'll be out. And then you'll beat it into the ground. Now, if you're patient and you wait for him to mess up and leave one up, you can take advantage of it because it's fairly one-dimensional. But it's just consistent. It knows what's going on. It knows what they're doing, and it will frustrate you to no end. And it's a lot of what I saw against Memphis and against Arizona, but we've seen this offense. Yeah. You've seen it in action. What are your biggest takeaways from what this offense coming in is going to look like?
Yeah, I think it's an offense that is designed to really frustrate you on defense. It's designed to really take advantage of you being impatient. This is the last team I would blitz against. The ball's going to get out just so fast, and they kind of take you away from doing the things that you want to do and whatever identity you possibly may have as a defense. This is probably the worst offense to try to run your stuff against. I think this is an offense tailored to have a specific strategy against, and if you don't have that specific strategy, they're going to go up and down the field on you. And I think that's why some coordinators who can't swallow their pride, these are the type of offense that are going to carve you up. Because
2 years ago.
yeah, they're going to carve you up alive, because if you just leave guys in man coverage every single play, they're going to run crossing routes, they're going to pick people or get the ball out quick. And it's just going to be very difficult to deal with. And I think if you can do that as a coordinator, say, hey, you know what, we're going to force rush 3, we're going to make you pass, we're going to make you hold the ball, we're going to make you do it the hard way, and you make them do that time and time again. I think that's where you've seen Mississippi State have their most trouble. But if you can't do that, they will fill it up on you.
The defensive line, when you get B.J. Ojulari back in action after missing a week, and you get Ali Gay out there, and even Jaquelin Roy, who's a pretty good pass rusher, Mekhi Wingo's good at, he's kind of a leaner frame, he can score it up in there and find his way into the backfield. It looks so appetizing because they're in the gun, and their offensive linemen are a foot and a half apart from each other, and it's like, oh my God, they're going to pass, and they're just leaving these gaps wide open. But as I watch Arizona and as I watch Memphis and you pretty much rush 3 or 4 every time, and nobody really gets home. And that has got to be so frustrating for a defensive lineman to see that visually. You know it's a pass. There's huge gaps. I'm going to get back there and realize you're probably not is demoralizing mentally.
No, it is. And I think, as a pass rusher, I've heard them all say at the time, like, man, I wish he would just hold the ball just a second longer. And people don't realize, hey, you got 1 play, okay, 2 plays, okay, 3 plays. Mississippi State, they don't give an absolute crap. They will go on a 16-play drive, dink, dunk, dink, dunk, dink, dunk, keep you out there. And then by the 10th play as a defensive lineman, you're like, man, like, dude, I'm tired. Like, I can't get off the field. They won't sub. I can't stay off the field. And it's just very frustrating. And so, to me, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I send what you call simulated pressures, and that's only still rushing 3 or 4, but you're sending them from different areas. You're sending a, the cornerback off the nickel slide. You're sending a backer, cross up the A gap, and you're doing little different things like that to, change that offensive lineup. Because if you just rush 3, Rodgers will sit back there all day and just carve you up. So you got to change it up a little bit.
T-Bob put it so eloquently this morning in on Whiskey and or on Scone and Tea last night. He was like, these offensive linemen don't do anything because sometimes there's a stunt and they totally whiff it, but the stunt doesn't get there because it takes too long. Like they don't do anything back there. So that's kind of what it looks like up front. On the outside, Mississippi State and LSU have the 2 most experienced receiving corps in the SEC. Mississippi State returned 72% of its catches from last year, and LSU had 73% of its catches back from last year. The guy that stands out a little bit on film from Mississippi State is Caleb Ducking. He's their 1.65 rangy senior target. Most of the other guys are a little bit smaller. Ducking had a pretty brutal drop in the Arizona game that resulted in an interception, but he's the guy that can make some plays. He's got 3 touchdowns already. He's got really good size. He's a little thin. He's a little lean. He kind of has that Terrence Tolliver body where just long, rangy, but not necessarily built. 6'5", 205. He looks pretty good. But as we talked about entering the Florida State game, LSU has a little bit of size on the perimeter that you would think should be able to help that. But, again, you're not playing a lot of man, so it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, to me, and when I think of Mississippi State and Mississippi State receivers, you're not going to think Jamar Chase. You're not going to think Devontae Smith. You're not going to just think some of the upper echelon All-American receivers. And so I think for me, this Mississippi State offense is more of the system rather than kind of the cogs in the machine that they're putting out there. If you don't respect these guys, they'll scheme them open all day long. But it's not like it's the cream of the crop 5-star, 4-star receivers just running all over the place. So you feel like your defensive backs can match up with these guys and have a chance, especially if you play assignment sound. So I'm excited to see kind of how these defensive backs match up. It's going to be the first SEC test. Obviously, this offense is really going to be efficient, so it'll be a good test for the defensive backs.
Jaquavius Marks is their running back. Dylan Johnson's also out there, but those guys, and they did run the ball really well against Arizona when that was presented. If you show that it's only going to be 3 and the 8 are already dropped back, they'll run it for 4. Like they'll take that all day. But it's those guys. Again, and I go back to the mental. The more I think about this, the more mentally it is so much more important than physically. And I think that's what Bryant Kelly was getting at on Monday, and he'll probably talk about it again this afternoon in his media availability and then again on the radio show tonight. Is like, it's not a physical thing. LSU is going to match up on the field 11 for 11 fine against Mississippi State. Better at their defensive line is better than the offensive line. But mentally, and even as a fan, I'm preparing you, the fan, to watch this, because when you put the tape on, Will Rogers takes a snap, and there's not really any pressure on him, and he sits there, and he almost relaxes. He's so comfortable back there. And if there's one of those crossing routes is there at 10 or 12 yards, he'll fire it in there. And if it's not, shoop, right out to Marks. They'll just try to get 4. Right in route, Marks. Try to get 4 or 10 if it's there. And it just looks so easy, but they had a drop for an interception against Arizona. They stalled in the red zone a couple times because the field shrinks and you don't have those easy dink and dunks. And that's the way that it was last year with LSU. They went into the fourth quarter and they only had 10 points. Like that, it's not as I think when we're talking about this, like, well, no one's ever stopped this offense. It has been stopped plenty of times. It is what it is, and it's not going to change. You can't blow it up at the line of scrimmage. You can't smother them in man because they'll kill you with crossing routes and pick routes and stuff. You just have to let them do what they do, and then you have to make the play when it's presented to you, which is frustrating.
Yeah. No, it is. It's extremely frustrating. And to me, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I make sure Marks and whatever backs in that backfield is accounted for. You got to take away the checkdowns. That's the only way in the world that you're
running game.
Yeah. It's the only way in the world you'll get Rodgers to hold the ball for a little longer than he may want to. And that's where wacky things can start happening. You can get a strip sack. You can kind of get some pressure. You can maybe get him to throw an interception. But if you let him have, on time, on target all day long, he's going to end up with almost 400 passing yards. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. So to me, I'm maybe putting Harold Perkins on them back. Like, dude, you just watch him. The second he gets out of the backfield, you take that little check down away, make him hold the ball, try to give us our D-line a little more time to get back there, and let's see what happens, because you don't take away that check down, he's going to he had 83 catches last year as a running back, so that should let you know.
And I realize that Arizona and Memphis are not the 85 pairs. Like, I got you there. But for statistical purposes, Will Rogers, 99 pass attempts, 3 sacks. So, you get back there once every 35 snaps, which is about once a game, just about. So that's just the way that it's got to go. And LSU knows that. It's not like it's going to be new. You're going to see, what's coming. It's just like the Princeton offense. It's just like that sinker baller. Nothing about it's attractive. You just got to do your job and make sure you're in the way. So I do want to talk about LSU's secondary, a little bit of shuffling that's going on. We'll talk about that next. And I want to flip sides of the ball and talk about LSU's offense as well. It is a Thursday edition. Don't lose us today. Thursday edition here of Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Reliable Roofing and Construction, reliableroofing.br.com.
Hey guys, I'm so happy to tell you guys about Reliable Roofing, a family-run, owned, and operated residential roofing company. They've been in business since 2008 with over 30 years of roofing experience.
Hey guys, Lionel Hayes and his crew are born and raised in Baton Rouge. They're here to service the Baton Rouge community. When you are looking for a roof inspection, looking for a repair, looking for a replacement, you deserve the best options when it comes to shingles. You deserve the highest quality shingles. You deserve a 5-year labor warranty, which is what you will get with Reliable Roofing and Construction. And I can promise you, Lionel is going to stop by because he looks at every single site that his crews visit with Reliable Roofing and Construction. Check out the website, Reliable Roofing BR. Check out the Instagram handle, which had a great video posted yesterday with me as the voice and Jeremy as the voice. It's Reliable Roofing LLC on Instagram. The website again, reliableroofingbr.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jdacody.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer
NFL is back. Our coverage starts Sunday at 10 a.m. with Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday with Jimmy Ott, immediately followed by the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Who was it that asked about the tailgate? Was it Casey, Tracy?
Yes, I think it was. I'll tell you. Give me 1 second. Yeah, Tracy.
Tracy wanted to know, how do I get in the tailgate with y'all? Well, I can tell you. Head to the 104.5 ESPN Facebook page. Look for the Revelry Sports Rate Your Tailgate post. It's pinned to the top of the page. Drop a picture right there of your best tailgate picture to be entered to win a spot for you and a friend at our 104.5 ESPN Revelry Sports tailgate for the New Mexico game on September the 24th. That's where we'll get a chance to meet Jeremy, enjoying some food and drinks from Government Taco. We're taking 5 winners tomorrow on September 16th. So if you want to do it, I would go ahead and do that right now. Go to the 104.5 ESPN Facebook page and check it out. All right, Jeremy, we talked about this offense, some of the weapons that they have on the outside. LSU looks to be shaking the secondary up a little bit. Maybe Jay Ward down to the nickel, drop Greg Brooks back a little bit to a safety spot. How do you think LSU matches up scheme-wise and then personnel-wise with what they've got to do on Saturday?
Yeah, I like that switch for Jay Ward because if people remember his freshman year, that's the position where he was getting his pick sixes at. That's when, he started out his career, at that kind of nickel and that corner slot, playing lower level in the box. And so to me, it's going to put him a lot closer to some of the plays we kind of saw him be a second too late in, and he's obviously a lot bigger body than Greg. So I kind of like that switch to see that. And I think they match up okay. I think, I want to see more from the secondary. I don't think people realize, but Florida State had a 100-yard receiver, so that's something that kind of gives me a little cause for concern. I think obviously Rogers is going to be a huge test for them, and so we'll see how they match up. But I am a little intrigued to see how it goes.
Do you think Seven Banks figures in if he's healthy, or think that the amount of time that he missed and the fact that he may not have been a practice full go this week when you would really need to against this system means he was probably down the line?
Yeah, I think and that's what it opened the world up for a guy like Kobe Richardson to get the amount of reps he has, because to me something tells me a healthy, available Seven Banks from the start, I don't know how much reps that guy's going to get. Now, I haven't seen enough from Kobe. It's not like he's just been getting torched week in and week out, but I think a guy with Seven Banks' pedigree and obviously his experience at the Division I Power 5 level playing in big college football playoff games, I think that guy deserves to, get a shot and get a look and see what he can do. So I think you probably do. If he's healthy and ready to go, I think you do see a lot more Seven Banks.
The thing for me trying to break this game down, analyze it, is all these new secondary guys. I have their measurables. I have their accolades, from other places. And I don't know how well they tackle. We don't see that in practice. I hadn't seen a ton of it in 2 games, and you're going to see a ton of it. If you put on the film, Memphis was atrocious trying to tackle Mississippi State, and that's just a different level of football, and I get it. So, I'm not trying to insinuate that Mississippi State's wide receivers and running backs are all conference players or NFL draft. Memphis can't tackle them. So that's, that is what it is. I just don't know what these guys are like as tacklers. If I had Tyron back there that I knew was a sure tackler, if I had Jamal Adams back there that I knew was a sure tackler, even some of the guys that they've had on the corners that could really tackle, these guys are just new. I don't know, but I know what they're going to have to do.
Yeah, no, they're definitely going to have to tackle in space. You're going to have ample opportunity. I wouldn't be shocked if a nickel or a safety leads a team and tackles this game. It's not going to be much linebackers, not going to be much defensive line. Your secondary is going to have to tackle. It's the only way you can survive against this offense. They don't mind taking 4, taking 5, taking 4, taking 5, and the second you miss that tackle, now that's 20. Now that's 25. And so that's the last thing you want to be doing. If you can kind of shore up some tackles, obviously tackle them before the sticks, you can force them to kind of be in some 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and try to get them off the field. But if not, it's going to be a long day for you.
Yeah. As far as flipping sides of the field and when LSU goes on to offense, Memphis and Arizona are shotgun-heavy, passy-happy teams. Arizona's quarterback, you heard the term a poor man's this or that. This is way, way worse than that. This is like the homeless senior citizen version of Johnny Manziel at Arizona.
Oh, God.
He was running around like a 6th grader playing quarterback. Multiple times, he's running like 18 yards behind the line of scrimmage, turning the other way, rolling back this way, trying to evade he was something to watch. So I don't necessarily know how much the film – he was not good, how much the film tells. But Mississippi State doesn't appear to me through 2 games to quite have the defensive front that gave LSU so much trouble with Florida State. That, in my opinion, is one of the good things that I've drawn from watching the tape thus far. Hopefully LSU's offensive line is growing up a little bit and they've kind of gotten something figured out.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a little push up the middle against a team, I think it opens up the world for this offense, because now it opens up the big read option game with Jaden Daniels. If you're getting pushed up the middle, they're going to have to start forcing more people, to respect that. And then now when Jaden pulls it, it's going to be nobody on that outside edge. And I'm sure, watching that Arizona quarterback, you got appreciation for some of the pocket passers out there. I don't know if you want your quarterback running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to win a football game. So, yeah, I think, people, they're talking about Mississippi State's defense in the Bayou Fort chat. I'm like, dude, it's Arizona. Like, let's see a little more here.
You
like,
gotta watch this quarterback play.
He had 3 picks. Like,
I
saw it. Like, it's just not good.
I mean, one of them was on one of those plays. He ran around in the backfield for like 11 seconds and then heaved it down the field, and it got tipped up an interception. It was just ridiculous play that you would see on the playground of a 6th grade recess. It was really bad. You will not see any of that from LSU on Saturday. I'll tell you what, on Mississippi State's defense, however, this is what they're going to start up front. Jordan Davis, grad student. Cameron Young, 5th-year senior. Nathan Pitchgring, senior. Tyrus Wheat, senior. Jaden Crumbley, graduate transfer. Everyone they've got has been in college for 5 years. Every single one on the front. So, the guys that show up on film a little bit are Pickering, who you'll notice on the defensive line. He wears 22 on the defensive line, which is a little bit odd. But he shows up on tape. Tyrus Wheat is their Sam linebacker. He plays on the line of scrimmage a lot and will get in the backfield a little bit. He wears number 2. And then their will linebacker, Jet Johnson, is physical dude. He will come get you. It's a physical defense. Is it nearly as good as the Mississippi State defense that had 3 first-rounders on it a couple years ago? It is not, in my opinion, but it's physical at the point of attack. And so I wonder, how does LSU handle that? Again, we didn't learn squat on Saturday. What does it look like on this coming Saturday?
As far as a whole, run game, pass game as a whole.
Do you think LSU's going to be able to get the ground game going?
Oh man, that's probably the best question of the day there, because it's so tricky to know. I think a lot of people say, well, you got Emory back. Well, we don't know how much he's going to play. We don't know how much carries he's going to get. There's so many unknowns that they've shuffled around the offensive line. How much bearing you got to get from that, going into an SEC game. I know you look like world beaters against Southern, but it's a big shuffle and a big change up in competition. And obviously these guys are playing outside positions, which I talk about all the time. It's very difficult to do. The steps are different. Who you're blocking is different. So that's all things you have to figure out, as you're shuffling around that offensive line. So to answer your question after all that dancing, I'm going to say no, man. It's just hard for me to see that run game as the way it was against Florida State and to think, they're just going to blow people off the ball and rush for 150, almost 200. Like, think if you do, it's going to be on the legs of Jaden Daniels. And I think, it is the run game, so maybe I should change my answer. So I think, I'm thinking about it now. If you say running backs, I'd say probably not. But Jaden pulling it down, he can get 150 on his own. So
I'm talking about running backs.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, running backs.
The day, and one of these days it's going to happen. And I don't know if it's Saturday or if it's like 4 times or if it's so in one of these league games, LSU will find some rhythm on the ground, and that offense is going to be a problem because if you got to commit some extra guys up there or you're biting on play action and leaving guys one-on-one, Kayshawn and Jack, Leak, Brian Thompson, they're going to go to work. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen and how consistent they can be with it. And right now, we didn't know entering the Florida State game. We said, look, that's a Florida State defensive front that looks pretty good. We'll kind of see what LSU looks like with this revamped offensive line. And it didn't look that good. And then you turn around and you go the next Monday, we're not going to know squat playing Southern. So just postpone this take for another 11 days, and then we'll revisit it before the Mississippi State game. Well, here we are. And it's time to say, okay, you ready to run the football? They're going to try. I promise they'll try. Yeah. I'm curious as to what it's going to look like.
Yeah, no, and I think that's going to be huge for this team. If you can get a run game going, man, and I know it's against Southern, but I think Jaden kind of figured a little stuff out. And to me, a lot of people don't understand this about him is his first 27 games as a college football player, he only had 5 turnovers. Yeah. And so it seems like he's getting back to that brand of football. Now, if you can give that guy who's not turning the ball over and he can use his legs a run game, now this offense is starting to be a lot difficult to deal with, and kind of the vision you can see Coach Denbrock and Coach Kelly have for it.
On tomorrow's show, we're going to dive into the 3-3-5 defense that Zach Arnett plays and kind of go into what LSU may be able to do to handle that. Mike Leach had some pretty interesting quotes about that yesterday, talking about he's played against it a lot of times, but always admired it, but never really committed fully to it. And he did once they showed up here in Starkville in the SEC, and it's been good. They've played some pretty good defense over Mike Leach's 2 years here in the Southeastern Conference. So we'll get into some of that, and certainly tomorrow we'll have our picks to crank up and finish the show. Coming up at 2 o'clock today, we're going to go back and down memory lane and look at the 2011 team that won the Southeastern Conference Championship. And Brandon Taylor was talking about it earlier. T-Bob's had a lot to say. They're going to be have a reunion this coming weekend. I've got a ton of thoughts on that. I know Jeremy does as well. So we'll do that at 2 o'clock. We'll have Jenna Lane from the Bucks beat for ESPN at 2:15, talking Saints and Bucks. And we'll do that as well coming up next with Luke Johnson. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hold down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford. BayouFord.com is the website. The entire arsenal of vehicles is right there at your fingertips. All the new, all the used. They've got your Carfax there. They've got the pricing. They've got all the bells and whistles. If you see what you like, that's a good start. Give Ben Gagne and the crew a call. If you don't, but you think you know what you want, well, start the process over there of customizing a vehicle that will give you exactly what you want and need. They can do that for you over at Bayou Ford, and they can have that vehicle turned around in as little as 2 months. You just got to start the process at BayouFord.com.
Yeah, head over to BayouFord.com. They have the all-new 2022 Ford Expedition Timberline. It has a Ready Lift 3 kit on there. Also, all-new 2021 Ford F-150s. They're getting $14,000 off MSRP, including the Black Widow edition.
We are proud Ford drivers here. I've had the Explorer ever since I got my driver's license. That was, oh, Lord, how long was that ago? 16 years? That's a little depressing. 18 years. That's even worse. So, yeah, with the Explorer's my car. Jeremy's got the F-250. If you want the F-150, the Bronco, the Expedition, they got it all for you there at Bayou Ford. Check out the inventory at BayouFord.com. Bayou Ford. They're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Mike Triplett will join us to talk Saints. Our Fantasy Blitz returns, and we'll take a closer look at Mississippi State. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Saints and Bucks in the Dome, noon on Sunday. Just saw this tweet from Greg Allman. Said, as the Bucks prepare for the Saints on Sunday, still remarkable that since Tom Brady arrived, Tampa is 1-7 against the Saints and Rams and 29-3 against everyone else. Luke Johnson covers the Saints for The Advocate, joins us now. What is the secret sauce, Luke?
They get in his face, and he doesn't like that.
Can they do that on Sunday?
I think so. I mean, we'll see if I'm right, but nothing about the way this offseason has gone gives me any confidence in the Buccaneers actually stopping that pass rush.
Yeah,
they're down like 4 offensive linemen, and I think Donovan Smith, their really good left tackle, is dealing with some stuff right now. He might not even play on Sunday. I mean, the Saints have got to just be like, yes. I'm sure they are absolutely licking their chops to go try to get in his face. And look, I think Brady is really, really good at managing pass rush a lot of times, but there's something about the way the Saints have just like mugged up on his receivers and brought that heavy pressure kind of really from all over the place that has just completely rattled him. And I don't know, man. I don't really get it because it's not like this against everybody else. But the Saints have found some sort of magic potion that works against him.
I'm looking at the stats on the TV right now. In 2020, he threw 5 picks against them. Last year, he threw 3. They really have done an awesome job. What concerns me a little bit, if you're a Saints fan, is looking at the success that the Falcons had on the ground last week with Cordell Patterson. Obviously, Leonard Fournette had a big game in Dallas last week. You mentioned the offensive line issues that the Bucs have. Does that concern the Saints, the Bucs getting that ground game cooking?
I mean, I think the Bucs are going to try to get the ground game cooking. I just think that's been an area where the Saints have really shut them down. Maybe the only exception to that is in the playoff loss. The one time the Bucs beat them since Brady got here, they actually moved the ball well on the ground in that game. But every other time, it's been really shut down, and that's why the Saints have been able to kind of tee off on Brady in the passing game. I'm not really overly concerned about last week's performance in run defense. Obviously 200 yards or whatever the final tally was is not good, but when you look at the style of play, like they have consistently struggled defending those mobile quarterbacks, which Brady obviously is not. But Jalen Hurts has looked like an MVP the last 2 years going up against the Saints, and in those games, it wasn't only Jalen Hurts hurting him with his legs. It was Miles Sanders, and every time they go up against these guys, that when they played the Giants last year with a mobile quarterback and Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley had a huge game against them. There's something about that. It's kind of the inverse of the Brady thing, where they're really, really good against Brady, and going up against these guys who are mobile passers just is kryptonite for the Saints defense. They haven't been able to figure out. So I'm not putting too much emphasis on the big day on the ground against that defense. I think they're still going to be very stout, but that is something that is kind of concerning as the season goes on as a whole, because they're going to be playing Mariota again. They're going to be playing Jalen Hurts again this year. They're going to be playing Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray and these guys who really move the ball with their legs. Something to look forward to them trying to figure out later on in the year, but I don't think that's a big concern against Tampa.
Jameis is no shocker to bring in some comedic gold to some of these interviews. And after the game, obviously, he said he had pain everywhere. Is that something Saints fans should be worried about?
I think they should be worried about the fact that he's on the injury report with the back injury. But that just he's such a weird dude in these interviews sometimes, or it's just like it's like you're watching some Baptist preacher out there, at the podium. But look, he's on the injury report with a back injury. I don't think that's anything you ever want any of your important players be listed as having hurt. I'm sure there are a lot of old former athletes listening who have dealt with plenty of back problems, and it sucks, and it affects everything you do. It bears watching whether that's going to be an issue for him moving forward. He's never going to be forthright about it. He's going to go on national TV and say I'm hurt everywhere. But I think that the fact that he's limited with the back is a little concerning for me, and I'm kind of eager to see how he responds Sunday against Tampa.
What clicked for him in the passing game in the second half last week?
I think it was that he was given clean pockets consistently. Yeah, I think the Falcons only pressured him maybe twice in the fourth quarter, and on one of those pressures was the only real incomplete pass that he threw. So he had a clean pocket to operate in, and with that, he was able to just get in a rhythm. And that was in the whole first three quarters, he was never able to get into a rhythm. And even when he did have a clean pocket, he was off target. He was throwing behind receivers. He was throwing over receivers. And then the Falcons stopped bringing that pressure home, and he was able to just step into throws. And I think when he's able to do that, he is as good as anybody. He's got a really, really talented arm. As you saw in that throw to Jarvis Landry down the sideline, it was like a dart that went 50 yards in the air. But they need to protect him, and I think that goes into more than just the offensive line needs to be better. I think the backs need to be better in blitz pickups. I think Jameis needs to be better with the depth of his drops. I think the running game needs to kind of complement the passing game a little bit better, and I think that's going to come. It really, it was his first game out there. He only had 10 snaps, game snaps in the preseason. He didn't have any of those with Michael Thomas. I think it was reasonable to expect him to be a little bit rusty. I just don't think anybody was expecting it to look quite that bad for the first three quarters.
He's on Twitter @ByLukeJohnson. This is not a good question, I'll admit it right out of the chute, but it's just kind of a blanket statement. That's just exactly what they expected when they signed Jarvis Landry, that exact game.
Oh, I don't know. I tried to ask Dennis something about that yesterday, because throughout Jarvis's whole career, minus his time at LSU, his whole pro career, he was a move the sticks guy. He's a guy who's averaging probably 8-9 yards per air, or 8-9 air yards per attempt, and get some yak. And then he comes out in his first game in the Saints, and he's a downfield threat. So I asked Dennis yesterday, I was despite this mountain of evidence about Jarvis as a pro, did you guys think he'd be somebody who could help you vertically in the passing game? And he was just like, yeah, well, he's such a good player. We think we could use him all over the field, like some just stock answer. But it was really interesting. I think it's not really the way we've seen Jarvis used throughout his career. And I think Next Gen Stats sent out this little note that that was in his entire NFL career. Like he averaged like 14 air yards per attempt against Atlanta when targeted, and that was the biggest number of his entire career in his first game with the Saints. So it's just really interesting to see him use him in a way that is different. It kind of reminded me of watching Jarvis in college. He was like a guy who averaged like 15 yards a catch in college. He was really good at those like intermediate deep throws. And I'm really curious to see if that's something he's going to do a lot more of with the Saints. I'm really excited to see him on Sunday.
When you think of this Bucs offense, you think it's led by Tom Brady, and it's very, very difficult to deal with. But for the Saints defense, what's one thing you could say they could do Sunday to really give them a shot to win against Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes back to pressure. That's been, I think, the key to their success against them. They got to get after Tom Brady, and they got to get it from the edges, and they really got to get it from the middle of the field. Whether that's with blitzes or whether that's with their interior pass rushers, I think there's going to be some situations on Sunday probably where you see Marcus Davenport shift inside and give him a rush from like the over the guard, and that's going to be really important. I think the Saints match up really well against them just in terms of skill positions. The Bucs have a lot of talented receivers. Saints have a lot of talented defensive backs. I think the Saints linebackers are very good in coverage, and they don't have Rob Gronkowski to kind of contend with anymore. And then obviously their defensive line is a strength, and it matches up really well against the Bucs O-line. So if they can get in Brady's face and disrupt those, look, Brady is like one of the few quarterbacks out there who can like huck the ball downfield on a 3-step drop, right? Like a lot of those passes are usually end up being within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and he's just like top of the drop, boom, it's like 30 yards downfield. That just doesn't happen with a lot of people. But the Saints have been able to get to him quickly and disrupt that downfield passing game and make him throw passes that are off target. And I think it's going to be hugely important on Sunday.
Paulson, a Debo update. You got one?
No, unfortunately. He missed practice yesterday. We are not able to say yet what his practice status was today, but I'll just say that I'm not super confident he'll play on Sunday. And I think that's probably smart. Like, I don't think if he's not ready to come back from an ankle injury, I don't think that's the type of injury you rush somebody back from and let it potentially get worse and bug him throughout the season. So we'll see if I'm right or wrong on when the injury report comes out for real tomorrow with the game statuses, but I'd be surprised.
How does that secondary? How do you think it looked without him in Atlanta, and how does it look against talented Bucs receiving corps as you mentioned?
I think it looked okay. I think the safeties played pretty well, but I am really curious to see how they look when they're challenged downfield. There was really only one deep shot against Atlanta, and Marcus May was penalized for DPI on it. They're going to have a lot more opportunities this week. I think Bradley Roby looked solid on the outside, but I think Debo is a huge upgrade, and I think it's a huge upgrade to put Roby inside. So, it is potentially an area that could, without a Debo, it could be a bit of a challenge for him. Justin Evans, I thought, was fine in the slot, but from a coverage standpoint, I think Roby is a huge upgrade over him, and I think Adebo is an upgrade over Roby on the outside. So, a little bit of a challenge, but I think again, it all comes back to how quickly that defensive line is able to get home. That's really going to make the difference in that. I think those guys often make the Saints secondary look even better than it really is.
Said it was the last one, but it isn't. What do you make of Latavius Murray coming in for a workout?
It just makes me a little bit concerned about what's going on at the top of the running back room.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram were both limited yesterday. We saw Ingram do some stuff off to the side with an athletic trainer. Those two guys are obviously really important, and the fact that it's Latavius, who's somebody that has a lot of experience in this offense, you don't have to worry about him picking things up, on the fly. It tells me that they are maybe expecting to use him quickly. So we'll see. obviously AK is a huge part of what they do, and you really hope that he's okay. But I think that's a little bit of a concern when you see somebody like Latavius come in.
All right, Luke, I'll be in the Dome on Sunday. If you have any orders from the concession stand, I know where the press box is. I can run it up for you.
Man, yeah, but the concessions are new this year too, because their kitchen's affected by the renovation. So
yeah.
I don't even know what they have there. So we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to text you.
Yeah, you got my number.
See if the text actually goes through, and then I might need you to bring up something that sounds delicious.
I got you covered, Luke. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure, guys. Talk to you soon.
Luke Johnson from The Advocate, at @ByLukeJohnson on Twitter. Curious about that Latavius Murray thing as well. I think that'll be a developing story over the next 48 hours for Saints and Bucks. Coming up on Sunday at noon from the Dome. We'll wrap up hour number 1 of a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. If you know someone, some nonprofit, some business that's doing awesome stuff in Louisiana, go to lwcc.com/Louisiana Loyal and let us know about them. Like this month, we're telling you all about Metamore.
Yeah, Metamore, an institute dedicated to the study and treatment of metabolic disease and obesity, has been celebrated by LWCC as a champion of Louisiana. Located in Baton Rouge on the campus of Pennington Biomedical, Metamore is a one-of-a-kind facility joining science, clinical research, and variety of treatment modalities under a single roof to create a world-class institute.
Look, Metamore has been helping people deal with things like obesity, and it's one of the greatest health threats facing Americans today. Louisianans among the most severely impacted. And so what Metamore has done is not only become a life-altering treatment facility for people in our state, but it's gone all around the world. And Metamore starts right here in Louisiana. It's such a great thing going on over there at the Pennington Biomedical Research Facility over there, all starting right here in Louisiana. Last year, more than 6,200 patients treated by Metamore drastically improved their health outcomes and reduced the financial burden of living with metabolic disease. Metamore, this month's Champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
This week on DropBiscuit.com or wherever you listen to podcasts is our new series, Pops, the Louis Armstrong story. Pops is brought to you by New Orleans & Company. Check out NewOrleans.com and come visit New Orleans.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Jimmy Ott and Charles Henniger for the Thursday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're downtown at Jolly Pearl Oyster Bar on North facing Town Square. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So a lot of people found it odd when Tom Brady left training camp for a week to just go on vacation. All of a sudden, he's leaving practices now in Tampa, and Gisele's doing media saying that she's done her part and she's ready for life after football and this whole deal. Obviously, you know, things are not super comfortable. I think Gisele's ready to go, ready for this to be over, and Tom wants to try to win Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
You know Tom. You've seen Gisele talk to Tom. How's this going to go?
It's not good. It's not going to be good. Look, since it's out there already, I may as well spill the beans. I tell you, Gisele is not afraid to speak her mind. And if you're Tom, I don't know how much you like hearing that when you're winning Super Bowls and you're coming home to that. I don't know, man. But, yeah, I think there's definitely some disgruntled conversations happening in that household right now. And anytime, you know, you hear Tom, you know, I don't think he said it, but anytime he's honoring commitments to his wife, smack dab in the middle of training camp to go on vacation, we're talking about vacation, like, it's something going on. So I hope, you know, things work out for the best, but I just know there's butting heads going on, a lot of ego clashing going on. I just hope it works out for the best.
Look, we're not reporting facts here, or at least I'm not. I'm just hypothesizing and just having a little bit of fun with this. I can just imagine Tom going into the into the Bucs management's office being like, look, I know we got camp. Like, I know the offense. Gisele says I have to go to the Bahamas. Like, I'll be back in 7 days. We got to go slide down some water slides, go eat some mediocre steak at this. Like, I'll be back in 7 days. All right, Tom, just get out. Just keep your phone on. Like, it's just, it's got to be just absolutely bizarre world over there. And like you've said, you've told me, like, she'll tell him what she thinks. She's not, oh my God, you're Tom Brady. Like,
yeah, no, she's not. And look, and I think people don't realize she's not an American woman. She's, you know, Brazilian, so it's the accent with it. So it seems a little feisty. Like, it's feisty, it's aggressive. And so for Tom, you know, you got Bill cursing you out, making you run sprints, coming home. That Gisele's like, geez, what do I have to do in this world just to get a little respect around here? Like, geez, like 7 Super Bowls, still getting cursed out. Got Bruce Arians calling me out, like I'm a wife, like making me stop playing football. Like, man, kind of feel bad for Tom a little bit here.
I don't feel that bad for Tom. I mean, Tom's got a lot of Super Bowls. She's still a supermodel. Tom's got a lot of money. If he's got to go on vacation during camp. But, I mean, I wonder. I mean, Haney just did a whole segment on this in his show earlier. Like, I just wonder if this is going to wear thin in the locker room or if things are going to fall apart. I mean, you would bet against that, but, like, it's just – Gisele, he's going to play through February. I mean, that's just the way this goes. So if you know, that's just chill out for a few months.
Yeah, no, I can tell you the locker room is the last place you got to worry about that. Yeah. I remember Tom was not there at OTAs the entire time. No one cared. We just went to practice every day and didn't make a big deal. He got there, did his stuff, did his work. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be a locker room issue. I think if anything, you know, it's going to be more between him and Gisele and just how long she, you know, lets him play. But I'm pretty sure at this point, this is the last dance. I think it's safe to say this is the last time. I was a little, you know, skeptical last year. I'm like, no.
2 weeks. That retirement lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think now, tea leaves are right. And, like, this may be the last dance.
I've been betting a little bit against the Bucs since the summer. No Gronk. Offensive line's kind of falling apart. Tom's leaving practice. Yeah. It just doesn't quite feel as good as it did 2 years ago and at times last year. They may prove me wrong. They may show up in the Dome in a bad mood on Sunday and win by 15. But, like, it just seems a little bit off to me in Tampa world. I just saw a tweet from Jenna Lane, who we're going to have on here shortly, that you know, they're the oldest roster in professional football by a long shot. And that's by design because you're getting as many good players as you can and not, trading for draft picks and signing undrafted guys in the rookie class. You're trying to load your roster up with Super Bowl caliber players, and that would make you a little bit older, but it just feels like they may be at a tipping point, and you're getting injuries up front. It just doesn't quite feel awesome. So that's to do it for our first hour here on a Thursday. We open things up with the first 30 minutes talking Mississippi State and what the Tigers are looking at coming up on Saturday. Luke Johnson from The Advocate joined us at 1:30, as he always does on Thursdays, to break down the Saints and talk a little bit about what they're looking at with Tampa on Sunday. Loaded second hour. Jenna Lane of ESPN on the Bucs. Best win and worst loss on the board in college football and the NFL. Of course, take it or leave it, and we'll talk about the 2011 LSU Tigers as they will have their reunion coming up this weekend. Don't go anywhere. SportsCenter than us. It's Hunting Hill.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them the right card, the right care.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Week 2 in the NFL kicks off tonight with the Chiefs and Chargers in Kansas City. Both teams won their openers. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky.
The Chiefs will win tonight. Out of these two teams, they're the team that I saw be able to do whatever they wanted to offensively last week. They had 66 plays run. They got 33 first downs. That's 50% of the time they ran a play, they got a first down. That's the best mark in a decade.
Dan Orlovsky on First Take. Live Golf CEO Greg Norman says he has no interest in a truce with the PGA Tour. Norman says he's tried to talk with Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan in the past, but now says he has no desire to sit down and talk. Live Golf is holding its 5th event starting tomorrow outside Chicago. President Joe Biden will meet at the White House tomorrow with Brittany Griner's wife, Sherelle, and the sister of security executive Paul Whelan. Griner and Whelan are both jailed in Russia. The U.S. government believes they are being wrongfully detained and is trying to negotiate their release.
How would you love a chance to save some money on car insurance? Geico can help. Switch today and see all the ways you could save with great rates and discounts. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com to get a rate quote and get started seeing how much you could save.
1, 2, 3. Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Underway in Arlington. Back to the 15, running backwards, loose, free ball, touchdown, LSU, Matthew.
From the 1 is Claiborne. To the 35, 40, 45, midfield. Won't catch him, folks. And he's got it wide open. Nobody rushed. Swing. He's got a blocker in front. Touchdown.
LSU bringing the heat. Loose football. Scooped up at the 20. Matthew will score.
Puts it up. Has to wait on it. Got it. Intercepted. Oh, no. Eric Reed. I thought sure that Williams had it. So far. Up the middle we go. Alfred Blue. All the way for a touchdown for Louisiana State.
Those guys could play. The 2011 Tigers, the SEC champions, first team in school history to go 13-0. And they will have their reunion this coming weekend in Baton Rouge. I'm excited to talk with Brandon Taylor on the pregame show about it all. Brandon was on with the boys in the morning today on OTB. And look, Jeremy, you're real close to a lot of guys on that team. You were there for that team, and it was remarkable to watch how good those guys were.
Yeah, no, it's sensational. And to me, you see a lot of those plays. It's like NFL player, NFL player, NFL. It's like the whole entire team just about you're just trotting out an NFL team out there, and they were dominant, man. And a lot of those plays I've probably seen 1,000 times, but they don't get old, man. I love seeing the Badger out there just taking the ball from people. You see people just running the ball down everyone's throat. I don't know about the quarterback play. That's another conversation, but that team was really, really good.
Look, that for me is a year that is unlike really any other because I was my first year out of college and my job was to be a beat writer at LSU for Bayou Bengals Insider. And that's all I did all day, every day was follow that team. I can still tell you all 22 of the starters on that team because I wrote game previews every week with every player and poured through stats and interviewed all the players. I mean, and for them to go on that run as my first introduction to sports writing was just remarkable. And so I had so many. I remember everything that team did because I was sitting there in the press box poring over it and analyzing it every single day. And they go to Arlington, and you're playing an Oregon team fresh off a national championship berth. They had just gotten beat by Cam Newton, but you still had LaMichael James and Darren Thomas, and you're bringing in DeAnthony Thomas. And it was just a ridiculous amount of talent that Oregon had. And LSU just outclassed them in the dome. That play that you heard there was Tyron stripping DeAnthony Thomas on the punt return and running in for a touchdown. And I'll remember the trip to West Virginia forever, where it was unlike I'd never been to Morgantown, West Virginia, and that campus was on fire that day. Not literally with the couches, but it was an incredible atmosphere. It was an awesome atmosphere in there, and then Morris Claiborne running that kickback was absolutely ridiculous. Here is, and I asked for your favorite memories of 2015 on Twitter, and there were a bunch of them that came through, and we'll get to some of them. But one of the ones that came through was a guy said there was a 15-minute period against Auburn where it was the most unbelievable thing ever. That's one of my most distinct memories. In fact, it's so vivid in my brain. I remember what I tweeted after this happened. I tweeted out, if it was a boxing match, they would stop the fight. I don't know how to go back to tweets from 2011, but if you would, that's what I tweeted. It's that vivid in my brain. I will tell you what happened. Jarrett Lee threw a quick screen to Russell Shepard for a 10-yard touchdown. That put LSU ahead 28-3 with 9:50 to go in the third quarter. This is what followed. James Hairston kicked off. Trey Mason returned it. He got trucked by Eric Reed and dropped it. LSU fell on it. LSU ran 4 running plays in a row. One was Kenny Hilliard on a crossbuck for 25 yards. Touchdown, 35-3. Hairston kicked off again. Jarvis Landry nearly decapitated Ontario McCallum. And on the second play of that drive, Clint Mosley threw a pick six to Ron Brooks for a touchdown. It went from 21-3 to 42-3 in 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Touchdown, kickoff forced fumble, 4 runs for a touchdown, kickoff where Jarvis almost killed a guy, pick 6. 21 points, 2 bone-crushing hits, 3 touchdowns in 2 minutes and 23 seconds against Auburn. It was as massive a tidal wave as I've ever seen on a football field.
Well, I know Hunt Palmer is never going to forget that game because those are his favorite uniforms ever. That LSU. But no, yeah, I remember that game like yesterday. Dude, that was just a different level of violence. That's what I'll call that game because that kickoff team was just I've never seen anything like that. And all the guys that were on that team was just athletic freak after athletic freak. And they totally and I played with Ontario McCallum in Cincinnati, and he did not have fun that game. He will tell you himself that was not fun returning kicks. It just was not a pleasant experience. So that team was it was stacked from top to bottom, just athletes everywhere, deep everywhere. Just you really can't find too many other than the quarterback, but can't find too many weaknesses on that football team.
At Tennessee in the third quarter, T-Bob mentioned this to Brandon Taylor on the show today. I went back and looked it up because I remembered this as well. LSU in that game went on a 16-play, 99-yard drive without completing a pass. No one outside of the Naval Academy has ever done that. And LSU ran it down Tennessee's throat, 99 yards on the ground on 16 plays. The second half time of possession was 22-7, 22-8, basically. The game of the century, I will never forget being in that stadium pregame. I have never seen a stadium full an hour to kickoff before. The buzz, the anticipation, dripping on every single play. And in an era where we've seen Alabama open up the passing game and LSU have the greatest passing season in history, and we know what has become of it. But at that point, I was still just fascinated by how good the defenses were because you felt like every play was the end of the game. Because Trent Richardson would break the huddle. I was like, well, if he scores, we're going to lose because we're probably not going to score. You know, if somebody got up on Joe Burrow's team, I don't care. Clemson got ahead and we'll score. Just give it a second. When you got to play all defense, like you're thinking, if we give up a touchdown here, we may be in bad trouble. What are your memories of that game in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, that was a game where you're on, like you said, you're on the edge of your seat every play because, you know, that big Eric Reed situation, it felt like the ball, when he intercepted the ball, it felt like the ball's in the air for like 30 seconds. Yep. I'm like,
Marquise Mays.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, no, this could be bad. Comes down with the pick. Then Brad punts it like 90 yards. It's like, oh, like we're backed up. They're about to have a short field. Then Brad punts it on the other side of the field. And so, like, every time you're on the edge, you see, like, oh, we're about to – and then somebody makes a play. And so, yeah, that's what I remember about that game, just every single play. You see Michael Ford going down the side. I was like, oh, it's over. And it's like, oh, no, we may get this field. Like, it's just so many emotions just back and forth that entire game. I just remember being on the edge of my seat, and it was great that, you know, we found it up coming out on the winning side of that one.
The best response I got when I said, give me your best 2011 team memories was this one. It was from Keesler Morrison, who tweeted, winning the SEC championship game 42-10 with these passing stats. This shook me to my core. I knew for a fact that LSU did not get a first down in the first half. We went 3 and out on every drive in the first half. The final score was 42-10 that day against Georgia with Aaron Murray at quarterback. Jordan Jefferson was 5 of 13 for 30 yards, a touchdown, and no picks. 5 of 13 for 30 yards. And we won 42-10 in the SEC championship game.
Yeah, man. Look, I said that's the first thing I said about this team, man. Everything else was solid. You can't look kicking game, punter, like with receivers out the wazoo. What can you find other than that one position? A little shaky, so it makes you wonder. You put that position, that team. Oof. I know my boy Mike Ford thinks 19. I don't know if I'm ready to go there, but that team would have been very, very a lot more difficult to deal with than they already were.
Look, I was going through, Honey Badger return versus Arkansas. Arkansas went up 14-0 in that game. They went down, scored a touchdown. It was the Wilson offense that had Childs on the outside. And they were really good. And they went down and scored a touchdown, and then LSU's running the ball right side, and there's a form tackle by a linebacker, and the ball goes popped right into the air, and an Arkansas defender runs right under it into the south end zone for a touchdown. It's 14-0. And that was a nightmare because Arkansas was number 3 in the country, and they were a good team, but Tyron took that punt, ran it back 80-something, 90-something yards, and kind of stabilized everything. And then the second half was totally non-competitive. And he did it again the next week against Georgia, and you heard in Vern said he's done it again. And then I've said this on this show many times, so if you listen every day, you probably heard this, but Tyron got invited to the Heisman ceremony that year. If he scores against West Virginia right before the half where he got tackled on the 1, they ended up throwing a touchdown to Chase Claymo a couple plays later before the half, but he batted the ball up in the air, picked it off, and ran it down to the 1. If he scores on that one and scores in the Georgia championship game on the second return for his second touchdown, I think he might win it. Yeah. RG3 won it, and I think Tyron might win it if he would have had Oregon, Kentucky, West Virginia, Arkansas, Georgia. If he'd have scored 6 touchdowns without lining up at wide receiver one time,
yeah,
on the best team in the country by a long shot at that point, we hadn't played Alabama yet, I think he might have won it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you can make that case. And this is why I can't be a head coach, because I'd be having Tyron in the Wildcats. As soon as I see that kid return a punt the way he does, we need that guy on offense making some plays. And so, yeah, I think that year Tyron had, even without those touchdowns on those plays, like I talk about this all the time, what are we, 2022 now? I've yet to see a defensive player make the type of plays he's made, just taking the ball from kids who lift weights every single summer, every single day, just about. He's just taking the ball from them. Like, I've yet to see it. It's just the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've still yet to see it. And, he's doing that. He's returning punts. Like, he's being a great defensive back. Like, that kid was a stud, man. You won't see anything like that again.
I'm a journalism nerd. We know this. I kind of focus a little bit too much on grammar and vocabulary and all this kind of thing. And unique is an overused word because it's either unique or it's not. It can't be really unique or more unique or the most. It's either unique or it's not. There's one. Tyrann Mathieu is a unique college football player. I've never seen one like it. I've never seen someone just take the ball from people in my life. And he did it not once, not twice. He did it for 2 years. It was the most unbelievable thing I've ever looked at in my entire life. I remember being on the field for the Arkansas game late. And he took the ball away from an Arkansas guy, and I'm standing on the field on the sideline going, he did it again! This guy's unbelievable. It's just, I'd never seen anything like that in my entire life. That team was something special. We may talk about him again tomorrow, but I wanted to get some memories out there. Appreciate y'all for hitting me with some tweets with a lot of memories. So many with the Brad Wing, with Tyrann's kick returns, with the Auburn game, Jarvis breaking guys in half, SEC championship game, the Oregon game where Tyrann rips the ball free on a punt and walks into the end zone because it bounces right up to him, because of course it does. Kiki Mingo running Michael James down from the backside. Crazy, crazy team with a lot of talent. And that Jordan Jefferson stat line from the SEC championship game shook me in my core. 5 of 13 for 38 yards, and you won the game 42-10. Woo! That is something else. 2011 team, they'll have their reunion coming up this weekend inside Baton Rouge. Let's take a time out. When we come back, Jenna Lane of ESPN, she covers the Bucs. She's with us on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Prep football season, and we get you started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Catholic High and U High kick off at 7, and that's immediately followed by the Lake Urgent Care Lake After Hours Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We appreciate Jenna Lane for trying to make it work today. She was leaving practice, going to the airport. She just got through security. It's too tight, and we couldn't get to her. So safe travels to Jenna, but we won't be able to chat Saints and Bucks with her. But I do want to talk about the game a little bit because I talked to Luke. We talked to Luke about it in the last hour. How concerned are you with the Saints defensive front, with what happened against Atlanta, and what the Bucks could do? And I've got a pretty good feeling about the Saints' pass rush against Brady. I'm a little worried about the run game, though, because, Tampa got it going last week, and the Saints were not good against the run in Atlanta. They just weren't, and I think that's where the Bucs will try to start, I'm sure.
No, they're definitely going to start that. That's a big part of their game, especially when you got Leonard back there. And Leonard looking the way he has, they're going to run the ball with Leonard as much as they can, get that going, get you thinking about that. then they're going to mix the big, heavy play action game. They're going to get all those big-time receivers running down the field. And I think everyone in the league kind of knows it's coming. It's just dealing with it is a lot harder than you think because Tom is so smart with the football. He's not, when he does get those pass attempts, he's got to try to get the ball fast. He's got to get it out accurately. He's got to get it to his weapon. So if you're the Saints defense, your first order of business should be stopping Leonard Fournette, creating some third and longs for Tom, and kind of letting this defensive backfield kind of, do what they do against the Bucs because I think they do match up well with their receivers.
I'm concerned about Adebo not being out there too. The type of passing game that was successful for Atlanta, the Bucs can't replicate, but Tom can figure it out, I think, one way or another. So that concerns me a little bit when you're moving Roby around and trying to find out where exactly you're matching up. But the good news is that Marshawn Lattimore has just done a number on Mike Evans over the years. And I don't have a great answer for why, but it certainly has happened. Do you have a good answer for why?
Yeah, it's just matchups. I think a lot of times, certain guys or certain matchups, especially in sports, it's like, man, this guy, Mike Evans, only torches most DBs, but he just can't torch Lattimore. Like, you can point to a lot of situations where certain guys just match up with certain guys. And I think with Lattimore, he's a lot more physical than you give him credit for. And then to me, he's a lot more faster than Mike Evans. And so when you're physical and fast as a cornerback, it creates some situations where you can lock some guys up. And I think I've seen Lattimore really get under Mike Evans' skin, seen Mike throwing punches out there. So anytime you get a guy that upset, you must be doing your job at a high level.
I think the answer is usually both, but I like to ask you questions like this either way. Is it something that Marshawn Lattimore sees on film with Mike Evans, that he knows things, or is he just physically he's got that matchup because you just mentioned his speed, plus he's not afraid to get in there with a 6'5" receiver and mix it up a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I would go with the latter, though, the size matchup and the speed and just how physical Lattimore can be sometimes. And he's a little nasty. He's going to push it to the edge of some 15-yard penalties sometimes. Had a real bad bone, had one last week. But that's the kind of tenacity he plays with. And so for Mike, it's kind of two, Rams locking horns and going at each other. But Lattimore's just gotten the, winning half of that matchup a lot more times than Evans has. So I think it's more of his physical ability.
I watched a lot of the Bucs-Cowboys game, and I know they left some points on the field. They settled for field goals. They didn't punch it in, and their defense was great. It was swarming. It was all over the place, and that's what we'll talk about here in a second. But I'm just a little curious about that offense with the line the way it is, with the Brady not – I think the Saints can slow them down. I don't think the Bucs are going to score 30 points on Sunday. I don't.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I know Taylor Sharp isn't going to like to hear this, but I don't think the Cowboys' receiving weapons are very good. And I know they're pumping CeeDee Lamb. They want him to be this number one, big-time receiver. I don't think he's that guy. This week, it's not the same. You got to deal with Mike. You got to deal with Mike Thomas. You got to deal with Jarvis. You got to deal with Olave. Let's see if this secondary can hold up. That was their biggest gripe last year. They gave up a bunch of big-time yards to some quarterbacks. Let's see how they match up with these Saints receivers. They're a lot different. For sure, and I think the Saints do look good in that matchup. The Saints' offensive line needs to do a better job than the Cowboys' offensive line. That goes without saying. The Bucs really made things tough, and then when Dak goes out, it's just, it's tough. But it's if the Saints' offensive line can hold up, and that's the big question, I think they'll be fine. What do you think about the Bucs D-line matching up against the Saints? I mean, they got two guys that can really, really get after you. I'm not sure about their line as a whole, but I know Shaq Barrett and Vita Vea, they're problems. You got to deal with those guys. They're very difficult to deal with. So if you can get those guys slowed down, I think for the Saints, especially if Barrett, I don't think he's going to be lining up on Ramchick very much. So if I'm him, I'm lining up on that.
It's wasting.
Yeah, I'm putting him on the other side and kind of doing what the Cowboys did last week. We're not rushing worse. We're going to go after this guy that's hurt and get after him. So if I'm the Bucs, that's what I do. So we'll see.
First play, the left tackle goes out. They go, hey, Micah, go on that side over there, and ripping right off the edge for a sack. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes coaching's easy. Exactly. That was a thing of beauty. I think the Dome's going to be fun on Sunday. I mean, you can't say in week 2, let's take control of the division. That's not quite how it works in the NFL. But the Saints have done such a good job against this Bucs team that there's no fear from the team or the fan base at all. It's just going to be a hunger, and I think just having that Dome full on Sunday, coming off a win, I don't think that a loss last week would have necessarily dampened it too much, but the fact that you did get out with a win and you can go 2-0 with a trip to Carolina coming up, the Dome's going to be rocking on Sunday for that Tampa game. It's just it's not the Atlanta rivalry, but everyone is aware of where Atlanta is and where the Bucs are right now. the environment's got to be awesome.
Yeah, I think for the Saints and the Falcons rivalry, it's more of the fans, like just those annoying Falcons fans. Y'all choke as many times as y'all humanly can, and y'all still barking your gums. So relax a little bit. I think that's a lot more to do with that. But I think there's kind of a little rivalry building up with the Bucs. I know with rivalries, both teams have to win, but I don't think these teams like each other very much. You saw CD last year getting in Tom's face. You saw a little back and forth. So these teams don't like each other. The fans are going to be, in droves, and the Superdome's going to be electric. So yeah, it's going to be a big time day for the city.
How much of that goes away with CD Deuce being gone? Like, how much of that did he bring? Should I expect the chippiness to be there because it has been, or do I expect it to go away because the chippiest Saint is no longer with the team?
Yeah, no, the chippiness will be there, and I remember Jameis getting in the big thing with Lattimore and Evans, and like I don't think they like each other very much, and so I think even without CD, you're going to see these teams, very, very desperate to compete and very, show who the better man is and show who the alpha is, and so yeah, I would see some pushing and some shoving going on Sunday.
And the last piece, and we'll talk about this game a little bit more tomorrow, is just like the Lutz factor. I know we missed one, but just to hammer that one home, it just felt so uneasy when you were like around the 32, 35 last year with like, all right, what kicker's on the roster this week? Like who we going to? Who do we sign this week on Tuesday that's gonna come in and try to? No, we got the guy who can actually make kicks from distance on the roster. I can't imagine. I bet Sean Payton was watching that game cracking up when Will Lutz, or maybe he was ticked off when Will Lutz made that field goal. But like, God, if he just had that guy last year.
Look, I think that may be why Sean's not coaching right now. Too many bonehead kickers in the game right now. He's going to blow a gasket with all these kickers.
It was a tough week last week for the kickers.
Yeah, he'd blow a gasket with all those missed kicks. So, yeah, maybe Sean's going to hang out at the house for a little while longer until they get that kicking figured out.
I want to remind you this week on dropbiscuit.com, wherever you listen to your podcasts, our new series, Pops, the Louis Armstrong story. Pops, brought to you by the New Orleans & Company. Check out neworleans.com and come visit New Orleans. Dropbiscuit.com. You can browse our growing library there where you're looking to subscribe to Pops, Fame, You Talking to Me, For the People, Well Stated, whatever Southern flavored audio biscuit you fancy. That's dropbiscuit.com. Every single Thursday we're going to do this. Best win on the board in the NFL and college football. Worst loss on the board for the NFL and college football. We will do that next, plus our Survivor picks. Taylor won't make one because he's out after 1 week. I, of course, easily skated in a week 2. We'll get Jeremy and my Survivor picks coming up next. I had the team that tied. It's Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
NFL is back. Our coverage starts Sunday at 10 a.m. with Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday with Jimmy Ott, immediately followed by the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Every Thursday, 2:30, we're going to give you our best win and worst loss on the board for the NFL and college football. Take it or leave it. It'll wrap things up today, as it does just about every day. NFL, best win on the board for me is tonight. I think the Chiefs look so good. They've got such a track record. It's not as big a game tonight on their home field as it is for the Chargers, who are trying to break through. They've got a quarterback who a lot of people have picked to win the MVP. I have picked them to win the Super Bowl this year. They need to, announce their presence at some point. Maybe that's like the Bengals, and it's not until January. But you got a chance tonight to get a huge win on the road at the Chiefs. To me, tonight, Chargers at Chiefs. The Chargers winning on the road would be the best win on the board for the NFL. Your thoughts on the likelihood that happens?
Yeah, no, I think it's very likely. And to me, that's kind of the coolest things to watch in the NFL are kind of the teams who aren't very good for a stretch. They leave the Phillip Rivers era. They're trying to figure it out. And then they're on the cusp. And then you finally get that moment like, we're here. We're a team to be reckoned with. And I think the Chargers are one of those teams like knocking at the door of like being a team you every week you just know like they're going to come to play. And you got to respect these teams. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a big-time matchup, for the Chargers in this game. If they can beat the Chiefs and get this season started out 2-0 with a ton of momentum, they're going to, be telling people, hey, we're here and we're a real contender.
What you got for best win on the board?
Yeah, I went for best win on the board. So I went with what's your favorite city, man? Chicago's own.
Chi-Town.
I went with Justin Fields and the Bears. I think, they beat the Niners week one, a team coming off an NFC Championship appearance. If they can beat the Packers, start out 2-0 to the season, it's going to shock a lot of people for one, and I think it's going to change the fortunes of a lot of things because now you get those people that were, pumping a little, orange and blue. They're going to think like, hey, like we beat the Packers, off to a 2-0 start. Defense looks good. Fields isn't just as terrible as we may think. Hey, let's see where this thing goes. So, yeah, I think for the Bears, if they beat the Packers, that's a big-time win.
They hate the Packers so much, and there's so much reason for them to because there's a jealousy component to it. It's just they have had –
oh, wait, the biggest thing, Aaron's their owner. Like, they just had to go that last
he's
year.
the owner. I mean, it's they have had to deal with for 35 years Favre and Rodgers, and they never have a quarterback. And it's sometimes their defense is good enough to go and beat them either in Chicago or in Green Bay, but most of the time it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And it just drives them nuts that they have to deal with that. And they hope they've got their new white knight in Justin Fields coming in. Am I going to put a lot of stock in a low-scoring game in a monsoon last week?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. But I think the Packers are vulnerable at this point at the very least. So, yeah, if they could do that, that would be monstrous for that city, for that franchise, for that fan base. If they could do it, I would bet against it, however. Worst loss in the NFL for me, if you're the Bengals, you're coming off a ridiculous game. You turn the ball over 5 times. You missed 2 kicks that would have won it, and you let the Steelers come in there and get you with Mitch Trubisky on your home field. You cannot go to Dallas with Cooper Rush playing quarterback and go to 0-2. The Bengals cannot go there and lose. That division is going to be competitive, and they don't need to put themselves in a trap. And also, if you consider yourself a Super Bowl contender, which I'm sure the Bengals do, you got to look at the Bills and try not to go up to Buffalo in January, if at all possible, and try to get home field advantage. This is a different way than the Bengals have thought in 40 years, but that's the reality of the situation. The losses stacking up are not good, and so they need to go to Dallas and win the game.
Yeah, anytime you get to a Super Bowl, the expectations are going to change overnight. And so for the Bengals, they're expected to beat teams they're supposed to beat. Obviously, it's the NFL. You go against a tough matchup. You could lose that game, but teams that are inferior to you, you have no business losing to them, especially teams without their quarterback. So if the Bengals go and lose that football game, especially after, losing the way they did last week, it's going to be more of those Bengals are back to being the Bengals type situation. And for a team on the cusp of changing the kind of, the way their franchise is looked at, definitely don't want to be losing to the Cowboys to start off the season.
Nope. Your worst loss on the board.
Yeah, my worst loss on the board is the Colts at the Jaguars. I think for the Colts, if you're favored to win that division and you feel like you really just missed the playoffs by the skin of your teeth last year, and you just got a quarterback that's an MVP and he knows what he's doing. We got the best running back in football. We got a really good defense. You got to win these games against some of these bad teams. And I think the Jags, as much as they're trying, they fought really hard. I just don't think they're going to win many games again this year. And so if you're the Colts, got to go down there and win that game. You can't tie to the Texans and then lose to the Jags to start the season. That would be a terrible way to go. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Colts here.
I can't disagree with that too much. I mean, you look at their schedule, at the Colts schedule in August, and you go, okay, so in week 1, we're going to go to Houston. Well, that's a game that we're going to win. Well, they didn't. In week 2, we're going to go to Jacksonville. And I realize these are road games in the NFL, so there's nothing guaranteed about that. But you thought you were going to be 2-0 when the Chiefs came in week 3. Mm-hmm. And right now, you lose that game, as you're saying, for the worst loss on the board. You are in a world of hurt at 0-1-1 against 2 bottom feeders in football. So I do not disagree with that at all. Let's change things to the college ranks. I'll let you go first. What's your best win on the board in college football?
Yeah, I went with BYU because they're on the cusp of, making a case where even myself can't even argue against. They beat Baylor last week. You got a ranked Oregon, playing against a ranked Oregon this week. You can start off the season 2-0 against 2 ranked opponents. And
from Power 5 leagues.
Yes, from Power 5 conferences, and continue to dominate your schedule. I mean, if they're going to let Cincinnati trot in there, I don't see how this resume isn't just way better than that one. So if I'm BYU and I win that football game, I think that's definitely a case to have one of the bigger wins, because you look at their schedule, it's really not much else on there that they have to worry about. So if they can win these, then it's going to be, it's hard to go against that case.
I don't feel like having that discussion all November long, so go Ducks. I'm fine with that. I think the best win for me, and it has less to do with how good the team is you're beating and more for me with perception and building. And a lot of eyes in college football are going to be on College Station this week. Mm-hmm. And if Miami can go on the road and win, even if A&M's not that good, which I don't think they are because of their quarterback, but I think Matt Johnson's going to play. But if Miami can go on the road and beat Texas A&M, the ACC is gettable. And if you're going to try to sell to recruits that we're building something and the U's coming back and this is the best it's felt, then go on the road and beat a team that looks pretty mediocre right now while a lot of people are still paying attention. It may not look as good beating A&M in November if LSU does it as it does right now in September. I think it's a big deal for Miami to go on the road because who's watching Miami-Boston College? Nobody's watching that. Nobody's watching Miami-NC State either. And I'm not telling you that they're going to the eyes of the nation are captivated by Miami and Texas A&M, but it will get some attention. And if especially if Van Dyke can throw for 320 against a good defense and maybe bolster his All-American draft status, whatever it may be. I think it'd be a big deal if Miami went down to A&M. This really isn't even a shot at A&M. I mean, I could have said South Carolina beating Georgia. That would be a really huge win. But I think in terms of where the program is, Miami, everyone's really excited about Cristobal, and he fits in there. He's from there. The recruiting seems to be going pretty well early on. I think beating A&M can only help that. Worst loss on the schedule.
For the first time in Hutton Hill history, we have a teams from the best win and teams from the best loss in the same day. And here's why. This will be the worst loss for Miami. For selfish reasons. One for selfish reasons.
That is
A&M
selfish.
Sucks.
Oh
Please do not lose to A&M. I need you guys to win this game.
I didn't even look at the sheet to know this was coming.
I did not go into this weekend with the plans of celebrating an A&M Aggie win. So I need you guys to come in here so I can just have the most absolute fun I've ever had on the air next Monday. Let's go, you. We're going to throw it to you today.
You thought COVID was contagious? My hatred for A&M just slammed across the desk at some point last year, and he has been infected ever since. Worst loss for me. Look, Brent Venables, you're new at Oklahoma. Y'all are trying to build something new. It's been an offense-first program for a while. You're trying to instill toughness, defense coming back. You cannot go up to Lincoln, Nebraska and get beat. That team is in shambles. They looked awful overseas, and Northwestern got them late. They looked even worse last week. Fired their coach, paying buyouts they didn't need to if they wanted to wait 2 more weeks. I know it's Nebraska, but you can't go up there and lose to them. Oklahoma cannot do that. The worst loss on the board to me would be Oklahoma if they were to go up to Lincoln and get beat. So that's our best win, worst loss for the NFL and college football. Time now for some Survivor. R.I.P. Taylor Sharp. My main man took the Broncos. They went up to Seattle and got beat. Mr. Unlimited. R.I.P. So it is just Jeremy and Hunt. I, of course, skated right along last week by selecting the Colts to tie the Texans. Who did you take last week? I don't even remember.
The Ravens.
The Ravens who won easily. So for week 2 in Survivor, Jeremy Hill, where are you headed?
I'm going to go with my man, Hutton Hill's own, Joseph Burrow himself. Look, that was the worst I've ever seen Joe play last week. I don't think you could stack 2 weeks. So I don't think he could try to have a worse game than he had in week 1. And they still had every opportunity to win that game. This Cowboys team, I just don't think they're very good, especially you look at their offensive line. I think the Bengals can shut the run and get after Cooper Rush at quarterback, and who's going to guard Jamar? So give me Joey B.
Oh, I know who's going to guard Jamar. Trayvon Diggs.
Yikes. He was like the 90th rated corner in football.
They're best buds. I watched them. They hung out in Tuscaloosa for 3 hours.
Yeah, that's not going to go good.
A lot of points were scored.
Yes, that's what's going to happen again. The replay of 19.
Seen the matchup.
Yes.
Exciting. For me, I watched the Falcons play last week. They played pretty well, better than I would have expected for sure. I considered the Saints in week 1 going to Atlanta because I just didn't think the Falcons would be good. I still don't think they're very good. And the Rams looked not good in their opener. And I don't know if Stafford's healthy or not, but I got to think the Rams can handle Atlanta. Flying across the country to L.A., I got to think the Rams can handle the Falcons. So for my week 2 pick, I will go with the Los Angeles Rams. That is our Survivor picks. Jeremy is on the Bengals. Hunt is on the Rams. Taylor is taking the week off and the rest of the week's off. Yeah, that's on the Super Bowl teams, the Bengals and the Rams. Sorry for belaboring the point, Taylor. That's my mistake. We will come back and wrap up a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. This week on DropBiscuit.com or wherever you listen to podcasts is our new series, Pops, the Louis Armstrong story. Pops is brought to you by New Orleans & Company. Check out NewOrleans.com and come visit New Orleans.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Mike Triplett will join us to talk Saints. Our Fantasy Blitz returns, and we'll take a closer look at Mississippi State. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Never too early to give you all our game day schedule coming up for Saturday. So the kickoff will be at 5 o'clock. That means at noon, you'll get Eagle 98.1 game day from Rouse's on Burbank. That is with Charles Hannegriff and Matt Musso. They will be on from noon to 3. At 3 o'clock, I will take the reins on the LSU Sports Radio Network with Brandon Taylor and Marlon Favorite from between the ramps of the Assembly Center. We will go on for 90 minutes until about 30 minutes to kick off at 4:30. That's when you can catch the broadcast. Chris Blair, Doug Morrow, and Gordy Rush. They will take you through the broadcast of the game. 30 minutes after the game goes final, you'll catch me, Marlon, and Brandon on the Tiger post-game report. And then 90 minutes after it goes final, it'll be Eagle 98.1 game day with Charles Hannegriff and Jeremy Hill from right here inside the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. So plan accordingly for your game day on Saturday. It'll be Tigers and Bulldogs from Tiger Stadium. Time for a little take it or leave it. Take us away, Jeremy Hill.
Already here. This morning, Roger Federer announced his retirement to competitive tennis after next week's LeVere Cup. Roger Federer, the greatest of all time. Take it or leave it.
Man, I think you have to leave it at this point. Djokovic and Federer are gonna, and Nadal are gonna leave him in the dust in terms of majors. He finished with 20. He had a run there where he made 10 straight Grand Slam finals and won 8 of them. 2 Nadal beat him in the French. And then Djokovic had him when he was at the end of the career and he couldn't beat him. So Nadal and Djokovic are going to make that a tough argument. I'm disappointed in myself. I used to love tennis growing up. I was a huge Sampras fan. And then I spent much of Federer's prime pulling so hard for Andy Roddick because he was American. And they got to some Wimbledon finals. They went to the 5th setter that went forever and ever, and Federer beat him. And I hated Federer because of that. And I think I missed out on his greatness because I was pulling against him so hard. But he was something to watch for sure.
Yeah, I was a big Rafa on clay guy. I was not a big Roger guy.
That's a good way to be.
Yeah, I just love watching him on clay because it was just fascinating to me, like how much better he was on clay compared to just on turf or whatever, like a hard court. Like he's just a different guy. So I was a Rafa fan when coming up.
His record of the French Open is disgusting. It's literally like 160-3 or something. It's crazy. Bundesliga and NFL announced partnership to expand business in Germany. The NFL agrees to play a game in Germany for the next 4 years. NFL football in Germany, take it or leave it.
As a player, I'm definitely leaving that. As a fan, it's football. I mean, I'll watch if they're playing on Mars. So yeah, so I guess I gotta take it, I guess.
No, you don't got to take it.
I mean, I'm going to watch it, so it's not going to turn it off because they're playing in Germany. I'm going to watch it anyway, but I don't like the idea of it. I think it's a little, it's like, why are we going across the world to just play a football game?
Why do we have to play Major League games in Japan? Why do we have to do all this? Just play it here. It's fine. Got to grow the game. Everybody's got to chase money. Everything we do, we got to chase more money, more money, more money, more money. It's exhausting. Nobody in Germany wants to watch football. Hester's talked about it a million times. They played over there at Wembley Stadium, and they sang the whole time and didn't know what was going on, and they cheered a punt. It's stupid. I hate it.
Yeah. All righty. Toronto Blue Jays star Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he blasted his 100th career home run, making him the 10th youngest in MLB history to reach the mark, with Jr. saying he has every intention to giving the ball to his dad. Are you taking or leaving? Vlad Jr. is already a better major leaguer than his pops.
I'm going to leave that for the time being. I will revisit that here pretty shortly, and I think he probably will be. But Vlad Sr. could play. And nobody was a better bad ball hitter than Vlad Guerrero Sr., hitting balls that bounced over the stand, just hacking things at his shoulders. The guy just, no batting gloves, give me the bat, give me the heater, I will smash it. He was awesome to watch. But Vlad Jr., pretty good. Pretty good. Kevin Maris, second son of Roger Maris, is in full support of Aaron Judge breaking his dad's mark of 61 home runs in a season. He's also at the game when Mark McGwire broke the mark back in 1998. Support of breaking dad's record, take it or leave it.
Look, as a Yankee fan, I love seeing what Aaron Judge is doing. But for my boy Kevin, like, dude, you're messing up the family name. We need the family name up high, man. We can't just be getting a free pass to everyone to break the record. Like, what are we doing here? No, we gotta look. My dad's the best. Like, 61 means something. Like, no, we can't be pushing that.
There's a movie made. Everybody knows who broke Babe Ruth's record. I don't think the Maris name is gonna be dragged through the mud. I am. I think all the steroid guys should be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
I also think if Aaron Judge does this and he hits 62 home runs, we need to look at that very appreciably because this era of fastballs and sliders and relief pitchers and what he is doing. I mean, I don't know if Matt gave this stat out. I told Matt yesterday. I heard this on Mike Greenberg's show yesterday. It's unbelievable. As of yesterday, Aaron Judge was 20 home runs clear of second place. That was Kyle Schwarber. That's the first time entering a day that someone had a 20 home run league on the rest of Major League Baseball since Babe Ruth in 1928. That is almost 100 years. 100 years. It is absolutely bananas what this guy is doing. And the fact that he's doing it in a contract year, whew, that is something serious.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating to watch. And to me, he's just been on a tear this entire year. It's like I'm waiting for that long, month drought where he just kind of just, he tells off.
There's 2 weeks left, so that month drought's going to have to be in the playoffs if it is.
Yeah. He's just swinging it well. And to me, I don't know how. I know a lot of people are still pumping Shohei a little bit, but, dude, what Aaron's doing is just – it's unbelievable, man.
Fun day today. We opened up the first 30 minutes talking Mississippi State and LSU. Then Luke Johnson jumped aboard at 1:30 to talk Saints. Opened up the 2 o'clock hour. Go back and check it out with our memories of the 2011 LSU Tigers. Had a bunch of people that tweeted in their thoughts and memories of that fantastic team in 2011. They will have their reunion coming up this weekend. So cheers to those guys. I'm excited to get with Brandon Taylor on Saturday and talk about the memories that he had. And if you missed BT, he was on OTB earlier this morning. So check that out. We talked Saints Bucks an hour or two, as well as best win on the board, worst loss on the board for college football and the NFL. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. It is all there. YouTubers, please subscribe to the channel. We certainly appreciate it. It's Hunt and Hill on YouTube. Fun Friday show coming at you tomorrow. We will always go through the entire SEC slate. We'll always go through the entire NFL slate, and we will give you our final pick at the end of the show. Jimmy Ott's Game Time coming at you from 6 to 8 this evening. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home on After Further Review. Have a wonderful Thursday. We are inching closer to Friday. See you tomorrow. It's Hunt and Hill.